All right. Thank you for your patience. I do not have your office or your technology sections completed, but I hope to in the next couple of days. So some of you may have gotten them back and some may have not. But I did want to bring up a couple comments of those. On the operations section, one of the main things that I did want was one complete order fulfillment. So a snapshot of a customer coming in all the way to the customer paying out, and even how you're going to solicit feedback or how you're going to stay connected with that customer afterwards. Some of you did a good job on that. Some of you just wrote a little paragraph about order fulfillment and it didn't quite capture what we needed. Many of you did not put the hours of operations that your business was going to operate. That would be something that I would think would go in the operations section. So make note of that. Again, I wrote all over them. One of the things that we didn't get a chance to talk about much, and I'm a big fan of, is customer service. I'll have to tell you guys a little story about customer service, how far we've gone with really not thinking customer service is important. What happened, I was going to a doctor's appointment, and the nurse that took me to the back didn't introduce herself, and in my sarcasm, I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name." And her response was, "Oh, was my name tag turned around?" And I went, oh my, she didn't get it. Okay? So just because you have a name tag, she never did introduce herself, just because, so I went, wow, that customer service just bit the dust big time. Okay? So making sure that customer service is something that really is important. It can make or break a business. We hear all the time, people don't go, even if the food's great or the service is great, after a while, they won't put up with bad customer service. So I taught a customer service class one summer as an elective, and that's why this says BA407, and people have said, is this for the right class? Yeah, I want to use this same one, but I want to give you some ideas of what good customer service could entail. And it's not a matter of just saying, I'll have quality customer service. There's actually things that you do to ensure that you have good customer service. So this is what we were going to do there. So I asked the students in class to give 3 to 5 examples of good customer service, and those were a little difficult for them to do. However, some of the good ones that we did have were things like Grover's. Have you ever been to Grover's Plumbing and Electric? You take a number, when they call your number, they wait on you until you go to the checkout and even carry your stuff to the car. So it is a full service type of environment. Are you going to get that when you go to Lowe's? No, we got a little better at least to have someone say hello at the front desk, but that's about it. And to find somebody, and now they've just said, well, you need any information, pick up a phone and try to call somebody, or use a price checker and do it yourself. So they've kind of left us on our own to go find how to get good customer service. So coming up with some good ones was a little more difficult than some bad ones, and I'm sure you all have some bad ones, and I've shared those with you, so we don't need to beat up any more businesses here in the Valley. But customer service is very important. What is it? We need to understand, understanding what satisfaction is. Why is excellent customer service so rare? 5 needs of every customer that we need to understand. Customer attributes. Cost of losing a customer. So customer service is important because it's the most effective and least expensive way to market your business. Gosh, a smile, or can I help you, or whatever, doesn't take any additional resources. The person's already working to help them out, walk them to the counter. How many places do you go to a store and they actually walk you to the product you're looking for, opposed to, I think it's on 5A. And that think just kind of sticks in your head like, you better hope it's on 5A, okay? So why is it a big deal to just walk you there? I mean, right in your store you wouldn't say, oh, the running shoes are over there. You know, you'd take them over there and say, you know, what kind of running do you do? And you'd start talking to them. We expect better customer service from smaller niche type of businesses than we do the larger ones, but then also for what we pay. If we're going to, you know, a 5-star hotel, we expect a whole different type of customer service than if we're going to Motel 6. But we still always expect some customer service. Customers are obvious requirement of doing business. It's always amazing to me that people will spend tens of thousands of dollars on advertising to get a customer in just to make them upset so that they never come back. That's crazy. If you're going to spend all that money to get them in the door, make sure that you keep them satisfied so they come back again. Products and services not alone is not enough. So if your product and service is good, that is not enough. We all need to feel appreciative that we did business there. We need to feel that you care about the business that you just interacted with. You just really need to know more than, hey, my product's good, my service good. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. That attitude's not going to get you anywhere, even if you're the only one, especially with the internet, right? Before in a small town, when you were the only one that sold something, you could kind of be grumpy because everybody had to. Not anymore. We can go anywhere we want and buy it. So make sure that you understand that product and service is not enough alone without the customer service. What is customer service? You know, we all talk about it. We all say we're going to have good quality customer service. But it's the ability of knowledgeable, capable, enthusiastic employees to deliver products and service to their customers in a manner that satisfies identified and unidentified needs and ultimately results in a positive word-of-mouth publicity and return business. Everything we do for the customer that enhances the customer's experience, that is part of customer service. So your enthusiasm, your knowledge, how can we help you? Now there's a point in which you can be overbearing, right? How many times do you want somebody to say, can I help you? Usually you've made some kind of contact the minute they come, and some of you were really good about writing that. Within 2 minutes they will be acknowledged even if everyone's busy, right? We all want to at least, just a second, at least you got acknowledged. And sometimes that's all it takes, even if it's going to be a little while. And if every once in a while you say, I'm really sorry, you know, is there something I can answer for you real quick, or can I show you something while I'm still helping this customer? But be conscious of that, and also realize that all those extra things you do, that's the customer service piece, and that's what can make you different in a business. Because sometimes there's very little that can make you different. You know, it's not always the service of the product that makes you different or they can't get. But and this PowerPoint is on Moodle and has been, so if you've had a chance to look at it. So. Customer's overall feeling of contentment with the customer interaction. Does the expectation versus the perception. Okay? What they're expecting, is that what they're getting? Remember we talked kind of about quality? If I'm going to a fancy restaurant, I'm expecting good service. Going to Taco Bell, I'll be lucky to get the taco thrown on the plate in 5 minutes. Okay? Quick versus long periods of time. Is sometimes it's okay for a long period of time for a customer to wait, and sometimes quick is better? Where do we all think it's okay to wait a long time? What's that?
The DMV.
The DMV, yeah, right? You just know, you go ahead and plan, I'm going to be sitting there all day, but they kind of have us in a bad spot because we've got to get stuff taken care of. Doctor's offices, we all plan to stay there. When you're waiting for someone, but what about a haircut? It depends on where you go, but you're not going to sit there a long time, and you're surely not going to wait 40 minutes to get a hamburger served to you. Okay, so you've got to figure out what the period of time in which customers are willing to wait. And then solve problems. Remember we talked about also that you got to make sure that you empower your employees to solve some of the problems. It's nothing worse than for a customer and the employee to hear, you know, I'm sorry, I can't handle that right now, my boss is away. It really makes them feel horrible, like they're not worth anything, and why are you even working there? And then, of course, someone chews on them for a while, and then they really feel bad. But also just realize that different types of services and products expect different types of customer service. I think, you know, I'm not sure why it's so rare, but there are some statistical reasons. It's requirements, spending money and taking action. Now, it doesn't always cost money, as we just saw, to give good customer service. But you may have to pay your employees more for the good ones that do give good customer service. So it could be a little more spending. The empowerment of employees, that can be something that causes it to be rare because maybe there's a micromanager or someone just says, nope, I'm not going to relinquish that much power to the employees so that they can solve these problems. And that's a real bad thing to do. If you don't trust your employees enough, then don't hire them in the first place. Okay? Use technology and current information. This is another thing. Get information. Build up databases about your customers. Some of you talked about that. Be able to talk to them. Be able to talk to them about, Tyler, if they came in and said, yep, I'm on my way, my son's got a soccer game. Make a note somewhere. Next time say, hey, how'd your son do in the soccer game next week? That is how do you guys feel when you hear something like that? Yeah, you feel important. And also when you're called by your name, that makes you feel really important. So calling someone's name actually is a positive feeling that circulates. Anytime you say someone's name, it lightens them up. Okay, so to be called by their name. So maybe you do databases so that you can keep track. Maybe you say, the guy that always wears the red hat's always talking about his son playing football, and I got to remember his name or whatever. But create some of this thing and use some of the current information to do that. Examine performance periodically. Do it yourself. I mean, one thing, have you guys ever heard of mystery shopping?
Yes.
Yeah, mystery shoppers companies, there's tons of them all over, and what they do, they hire people to go into businesses. And they'll do things like ask for certain things, prompting the salesperson to either offer them a promotion or to offer them something. I know that when the mystery shoppers go to Starbucks, they actually have a thermometer and a scale. They weigh it and take the temperature to make sure everything's consistent. They also make sure, did they welcome you in a timely manner? How long were you in line? They want to know all these things. Companies that are looking at that a lot are on the top. Okay, so make sure they're not that expensive. You can have some done once a quarter, but just have a mystery shopper come in and they just act like they're doing normal business. A friend of mine was doing a mystery shop for a tire store, and she didn't need any tires, but they gave her scenarios. She had to go in and ask how much tires were and see what different brand names they would give her and the different prices and do all this. Well, the guy was so honest to a fault, he would not give her a price of tires because all he kept saying is, ma'am, you do not need tires. And she kept saying, but what if I do? And he says, but you don't. I'm not giving you a price of tires. And she kept trying every which way. And she says, okay, well, what about next year when I come and I need tires? What kind of tires would you sell me? And he kept saying, I don't know what tires I'm going to have next year. Your tires are fine. I'm not going to give you. So she didn't get very far with the mystery shop. But what a great thing for an employer. He was so honest, he could have sold. She was insistent on buying tires. He was insistent on saying, there's no way you need tires. I'm not selling them to you. Patty?
Are there companies that you would hire that have shoppers, or do you hire your own person?
No. There's lots of companies out there. I know of at least 20 or 30 companies. And what they do, the Starbucks or something will contract to a company, and then the company finds the mystery shoppers who they've had profiles on and people they've worked with in the past, and they're signed up for it. And so they'll say, we need 3 mystery shops done at Starbucks, and then people that are in that area will sign up for them, and then they get them and go do it. Yeah. So it's something you may think about it, even on a small scale. And then that way you can measure actually the customer service. You know exactly what's going on. I know a lot of the fast food restaurants do it when they're advertising a new burger or a new sandwich or something. They want to know, did they offer the new one? Did they try to sell you upsize you? Did they try to add fries? Did they do this? So there's a whole list of things they're supposed to say, and this way you know it. Because you've got somebody coming in that's very neutral, and you don't know a mystery shopper, and they cannot reveal themselves, or they lose their jobs. They're not asked to come back.
Walgreens tries to get you to buy a candy bar at the counter. I don't like it. I'm like, that's not what I mean.
Yeah. But somebody probably said, try to upsell them on something as you're walking out, so they're just doing what they're told. 5 needs of every customer. Service, price, quality, action, and appreciation. I talk about all the time, I give somebody my money and they go, here you go. And I'm like, where's the thank you in that? I know my mom was just in the grocery store yesterday, and being a Southerner, she's here visiting me, and she said, all right, here I go out in the Medford's community, and she goes to the grocery store. First thing she does, she asks the guy if they had some chips, and he goes, I don't work here, I just put the chips on the counter. And she goes, well, that's a relief. And she walked off. And I thought, oh my God, she's going to be all over the news here soon. But some appreciation. I mean, he could have very gently said, I'm sorry, I'm just a vendor. But, you know, I just saw a guy on the next aisle or something or whatever. But he's right, it wasn't his job, but he didn't have to act like that. And her response was, well, what a relief that you don't work here. So anyway, try to keep these in. When you're writing up your customer service, make sure you hit on these things. You know, quality is part of customer service, the price is part of customer service, the action, the interaction you have, and then the appreciation. Attributes of characteristics that allow customers to be categorized according to demographics, psychographics, or firmographics. These are different things that allow an organization to better understand who its customers are. And you guys have done a lot of research about your target market to know who they are. And understanding these attributes, understand what they expect of good customer service. The demographics, these are all the things you need to know about your customers. I had someone say, based on your religious, are you allowed to have blood transfusions? Okay. Well, without knowing what someone's religious background is, you wouldn't know to even ask them that kind of question. Ethical backgrounds, mobility, household size, all these different things will help you identify the needs and what your customer considers good customer service. When we talk about psychographics, this is more their lifestyle, what their needs are, what motivates them. What's their attitude? What's their culture? Social class, family influence, hobbies, political affiliation. All of those things help you better understand who your customer is. And when you can better understand who the customer is, you can service them better. Okay, so customer service is a big deal. And I just, when I see that little paragraph that just says I'm going to have good quality customer service, I think we need to go a little deeper than that. And then the firmographics, the number of employees, the types of businesses when you're dealing with other business, retail, wholesale, or service, and then hours of operation. So you need to know these. And hours of operations are a big thing. I think I told you guys we did a survey for the Medford Library one time about the children's library, and they couldn't figure out why children weren't coming with their parents to the library. And we did a big survey, and apparently they were open 1 hour off of when they needed to be open. They were opening too late to catch the morning people, and they closed too early to catch the parents to bring them in the afternoon. So once they had adjusted their time, things all of a sudden became better. So you also need to be looking, are you open the right hours? Are you just missing a bunch of customers? Cost of losing a customer. Look at this. They say the average customer to acquire a customer of sales is $500. Okay, to retain that customer is only $100 a year. To lose a customer is not only the cost to retain them, the loss in revenue, loss in initial investment, and the cost of the sale, so any future sales. And then gaining is the customer retained equals the increased revenue. So you can lose, we spend this much money to get the customer. Why do we get them in to just get them upset so that they never come back so that we can lose money? Better yet, just don't do anything. Okay? Don't spend a bunch of money getting them in if you're just going to make them upset and not come back. So you can save yourself a lot of money. But not only are you losing money, there's jobs, there's loss of reputation, and reputation is a hard thing to get back. Right? There's always those people that remember that reputation. And loss of future business. So if you're not taking care of the customer the first time, it's the repeat customers that are the cheapest. Acquiring a new customer costs a lot of money. Recognize and deal with customer turnoffs. We all have different types of turnoffs. You need to be able to read those signals. Okay? Be aware of pet peeves. Right? When you go to some places, someone's following you around constantly. Some people think that's great. If I need help, they're right there. Others of us say, geez, can you just give me some room to breathe? I'm not going to take anything, I promise. And so you need to be aware of that. Little things mean everything. Recognize the emotional elements, recognize and eliminate your customer's turnoff. So if you see that you're kind of getting in their way, or they're not feeling comfortable, or they're not responding, back off. Do something differently. Okay? If they seem to be agitated because they've been standing, tapping their foot over, waiting for a while, okay, they don't want to wait any longer. You might want to get to them. Right? But they will give you signals. You just need to pay attention to the signals. You guys all have pet peeves when you go to stores?
Yes.
Yeah? Amber, what's yours?
They call me little girl.
Little girl.
I don't want to get called ma'am.
Or honey?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not in the South anymore. What about some of you?
I don't like not being acknowledged.
Acknowledged? Yeah. You're in the store for a while and you're not acknowledged? Yeah. So being ignored or receiving rude or indifferent service, having to wait too long, I am the most impatient person. Poor quality work or shoddy products. You mean I waited 3 weeks to get this back and it looks like this? I remember one time I took a pair of shoes in to be repaired, and the 2 pair of shoes didn't match anymore. And the guy didn't see a problem with that. He said, well, you can't see this side of the shoe at the same time you can see this side of the shoe over here. I said, are you kidding me? That happened to me with a car once, too. I had an accident in a car, and they did the pinstripes one side on one side of the car, another on the other. So there's no way you can see both sides of the car at the same time. Okay? So make sure that you've checked it before you give it out. Do not let the customer find the shoddy work or the poor quality. Check it. Have some ways that you're checking internally and making sure you have quality control checks. Sale items not in stock. Boy, you go somewhere, you get there, it's never in stock. You know, do they give rain checks anymore? They'll give rain checks and you wait 3 or 4 months and it's never there. Merchandise prices not marked, forcing a price check at the cashier. Dirty restaurants or restrooms. Oh my gosh. If we go to a dirty restroom, where do we expect to have a dirty restroom? Yeah, a gas station. That's just, you've got to bring your bucket of your Lysol and all your wipes and everything in if you're going to the bathroom at a gas station. We expect that, but not when we go in a restaurant, right? Addie, were you going to say something? No. Amber, did you?
I was saying that last week I got a drink at a place and it was made wrong and like the glass was dirty and I said something like, I'm sorry, this isn't right. Like, could you take this and give me a new one? And they were really, really irritated and I ended up getting like a dirty look from the other person they were talking to too. So the person that we know that typically waits on us fixed it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Yeah. And I remember being at Outback Steakhouse once. We're just going to kill every business in the road. Outback Steakhouse. And every time they bring the knife out, it was dirty. And so the manager would just bring it, rolled up in the napkin and said, here you go. And I said, this one's dirty too. After the third one, I said, would you mind opening it before you bring it to me? Are you serious? I'd rather you open it and just hand it to me like that instead. So, yeah, sometimes we don't put up with dirty things. Phone calls put on hold or forcing you to select from a long menu of choices. Oh my gosh, I think we're about done with that. Employees lacking product knowledge. Okay? When they say, can I help you? And then you ask them a question and they can't, and you say, so why did you ask if you can help me? I mean, you kind of want to wonder why. High pressure sales tactics. Be careful with this. I think I wrote this on a couple papers. They want to find out why you didn't buy something, why you didn't go with their service, whatever. It's okay to solicit. Was there something I could have done differently? But cut it off. Don't do that high pressure car salesman, I'm not letting you leave the lot until you buy something, because that's really a big turnoff. Employees talking down to you or using confusing jargon. Have you ever had someone really belittle you while they're talking to you? Like, you really wouldn't understand this, but this is how this works. Boy, that's a real turnoff. And flexibility when you make a request. No, we don't do that. Well, you could, and would you be interested? And I mean, give me some feedbacks. That's not our policy. Wow. Especially if it's a small business. Okay, now we're talking big companies. Some of those people you're talking to don't have the power to change some of those. But when you're dealing, I mean, Addie, would you tell somebody, they say, I really want the cheese on the bottom of my taco cone? You say, no, our policy is always to put the cheese on the top? No. Hey, how do you want the cheese? We'll throw it at your mouth if you want, but you know, we want to make sure that you're going to get it how you want it. Since most things can be purchased from one or several places, you need to make sure that you're the place they want to shop. Little things that count for huge competitive advantages. Okay? What are things that you're lacking that your competitor can come in and overcome and make things better? And then you're seeing yourself losing sales. Value turnoffs, system turnoffs, people turnoffs. It says, hello operator, I'd like to place a call to someone who cares. And you probably say, please press 3 if you want to disconnect or something. So probably didn't get far with that phone call. Emotional elements, you know, create a climate of warmth, a positive signal. Be sensitive to people's needs. Encourage, especially some businesses, right? Carl, you're going to have to be very sensitive to people's needs. They've just lost their pet. Encourage expression of feelings. Listen and with genuine interest. You know, really look someone when they're talking to you, nod your head and make sure you understand, because nothing works better than a good listener. Because if you're doing something, I'm listening though, I can remember as a child, my mother was never allowed to work and do anything if I was telling her something. Mom, look at me, look at me, look at me. Because if she's trying to cook dinner, she's like, I'm looking at you, and then she'd try to start doing it. Mom, you're not looking at me. But we all want to be, you know, recognized and listened to, and sometimes that eye-to-eye contact can really do that. Find something you like. Be genuine about this, though. Don't go in and tell the instructor that you like their haircut just because you want an A in the class right when you walk in. Okay? Eliminate negative feelings. Okay? If they already have a sense of negativity about your business, you weren't the only one, Carl. If there's a negativity feeling that they already have, like they're already on guard because every time they do this, this happens, then sense that and try to offset that. Say, you know, I can sense that you probably had a negative experience with this in the past. What can we do different, or what would you like us to do? And genuinely hear that and try to make some changes. It makes a big difference. Listen with more than your ears, okay? Make eye contact, make sure that you're actually focusing, you're nodding, you're understanding. And if you're not going to look them eye to eye, what you need to say is, hang on, I want to make sure I get this correct. Let me make some notes. Okay? That's very impressive to them. So that instance, you could be distracted doing something else, but you're telling them that. Try mystery shopping, use focus groups. We see that a lot in the malls. You ever run from those clipboard people in the malls?
I always help.
Well, that's what they want. Focus group to come in to talk about a new product or to look at something and give some feedback. Implement customer feedback systems. There are a lot of systems out there that are built so that you can implement customer feedback. Okay? So make sure you're using some of those. That can go in your technology section or your customer service section. But getting feedback is the only way you know how to improve upon your business. Exceed the customer's expectations. Stay close to your customers, not so much in the proximity. Don't follow them all around. Understand why customers do what they do. Understand why A+ leads customer retention. We'll talk about that. Learn to understand what customers anticipate. Try to get what they need prior to that. You know, you're at an ice cream store. What usually do you want right after you have some ice cream? Some water. You know, what if you bring the water out right as you're thinking they're almost finished their ice cream? I mean, just a small example, but always trying to anticipate the need prior to, or I can see you're going to need some help. Let me get somebody before you get to the checkout counter to help you carry that to the car. Okay? Strive to exceed customers' expectations and innovate with the 6 A+ opportunities, and we'll look at that right now. This is what it stands for: value opportunities, information opportunities, speed opportunities, personality, add-on opportunities, and convenient opportunities. These are what people are looking for when they actually are striving to get good customer service. Again, these are kind of a repeat. Okay. Challenges of customer service, barriers of excellent customer service, recognizing the power of perception, understanding expectations, reputation management, reputable management, ethics in customer service, current status of customer service, and then new trends. See what's coming up, what's expected of customers. The same like you're studying the industry, make sure you're studying what customers expect. And these are some that you guys can take a look at. These are things that you definitely never want your service customers in an autopilot. You know, we call some of these numbers and they have like a fish diagram. They said no. Okay, now read this to them. Now they said yes, and now read this to them. And they're not listening to the thing you're saying. They're just going through a chart, and they get to the end and said, did you try turning it off and turning it back on? And you're like, did you hear anything I said? So make sure you have adequate staffing. And whatever you do not want your moody people up front. You know, you may have a great business in the back, but the person who is the first contact, either answering the phone, and a lot of people fail in that they put maybe some young person that doesn't have a lot of experience right at the front to greet their customers. And maybe they're not always so pleasant, maybe they don't care, maybe they got their earbuds in and were disturbed, and now they couldn't listen to their music. Do not put someone that's got that little experience right at the front as the first person that contacts your customers. Okay? Make sure that person is well versed in the business. And this is some of the exercises. You know, this is kind of a good one. This is what we asked student representatives versus students. The students' positive environment that encourages learning. This is what the students said they wanted when we were talking about courses. Transferable classes, instructors who cared and knew the students' names, safety in the parking lot and building, and more parking. Now look what the administrative thought they wanted. Grades with no effort, extra assistance with enrollment, short classes, no reading assignments, and more parking. Do those two match at all?
More parking.
More parking, yes, more parking match. But I'm just saying, boy, were they off.
Grades with no effort, that's silly.
And they think students are really lazy, don't they?
Yeah, and so they're thinking, oh, the students just want something for nothing. Okay? So they're not listening to the students' needs at all. If they're saying, I don't want to stand in a registration line for 4 hours, that doesn't mean that they want, you know, extra assistance with enrollment. They want you to be more efficient so they can get through the line in a more efficient way. Okay, so you've got to make sure that you're not thinking the customer wants something. Don't be saying, oh, the customers just want everything for free. Well, they don't, and they know they can't get that, so don't get that perception. And then over here, they're just wanting a good quality customer service experience. Okay, so sometimes the two can be totally different. So as you can see, the only thing that overlapped was the more parking. And here we were talking about, like I said, prestigious hotel, electric companies, nationally recognized fast food chains, auto service, car rentals. All of these, we have different expectations of what we expect quality to be. And that's okay, as long as the expectation meets what the customer's perception is of those things. Here's some things, good reputation. Is very responsive to customers. It's a company you can trust. And when people start talking about your business like this, you're in good hands. Oh, don't worry, that is a great guy. He is going to take care of you. He's going to find the best deal for you. His craftsmanship is perfect. When you start hearing people talk about a business like that, then you're really home free and understanding your customer. He's a good citizen. It's a progressive company. It's cooperative. You know, when you had problems, they were able to solve the problems in a reasonable way. Okay? So here's some things that you guys may want to think about using. You know, sometimes it's difficult to measure the financial benefits. of having good customer service, but it's not hard to measure the benefits, financial benefits when you don't have good customer service, because your sales will go down right away. Technology provides fast responses for questions, and so I recommend that you either do some kind of cards that you can put in a box. And some of you said that you were going to have cards that you would give them and they could mail back. Make sure they're self-stamped so that they will put them back in. Make sure there's no information that leads to them. You don't need their return address. People are more apt to say how they feel if they feel they're anonymous, and so make sure that you're not saying leave the card on the table when you leave. Have a box they can put it in, okay? And then you'll get more honest feedback. Some of the new trends, you can read over this. A lot of the new trends are the mystery shopping type of things, about outsourcing of parts of customer service functions, non-traditional examples of customer service. Okay, I just wanted to go through that because I think you guys need to beef up your customer service sections a bit more. So the operations sections, for the most part, you did them. Some failed to do the order fulfillment, so we really want to do that. It's from the minute the customer contacted you. And some of you were good enough to say, here's one of the 3 ways a customer could contact me. Email, web page, phone, or some other ways. And then if they email me this way, this is how the communication started. Emailed me or contacted me this way is how it started. And then at some point it comes together and you're providing the same thing. And then some even said if they said no, they didn't want the service at this time, they went this way and showed what they did instead, how to solicit feedback, how to then put them in a database so they could check on them later. Or if they said yes, then how that order fulfillment, all the way to accepting the transaction for the money, and then how you're going to solicit feedback from them. So I wanted the full scope there so that we understood. And it wasn't more, it was really for you to think about, am I forgetting anything? I've got the whole line here. Okay, I've got the customer service part built in. I've got my quality service built in. I've got everything built in. So if this customer, and you know, even you may, if you do a little diagram and say customer was unhappy with the delivery, you might show what you do in that case. Or customer was satisfied, the card was sent out, they were put in a database, we'll contact them again in 6 months if that's appropriate for whatever you're doing. Okay, you'll contact them in 12 years when their next pet dies. Probably not a good idea. Okay, but you know, there may be some times that you want to put in there, you know, or advertise. We haven't seen you in a while. We're offering a 10% discount for you to come back by and stop in and see us. You know, sometimes that means, wow, I was noticed that I wasn't there. Okay, so any of those things. But customer service is really, really important. And if you feel like your business is like every other business, that's always the way that you can differentiate it from other businesses. Because you do have control over that. It's in the people you hire, how you treat people, and the quality and the service you provide. So make sure that you realize you have complete control over that. Okay, any questions on customer service or the operations or the technology section? The only thing I can say about technology, I wanted you to be specific about the hardware specs and the names of the software. A lot of you said we'll hire a local internet provider. I want to know who that local internet provider is. We'll use a POS system. I want to know what the POS system is. I want to know what it does, what it can do for you. So more specifics in those areas. And even if it was part of your operations, still make it more specific. And
I was just wondering, I was looking up information about using the Square and what it took, you know, and so I saved a screenshot of the page where it says like you get the Square for free, you get all this, you have to pay them. Should I include that in the appendix?
yes, that'd be a great place for that. Yeah, and what you could put in the actual, the write-up in technology is Square will be used at such and such percentage per, you know. I think there's 2 ways you can use the Square. I think you can pay a flat fee, or you can pay a percentage. And if you know that how much of it you're going to always have, sometimes the flat fee works out better, but if you're not charging a lot, then you lose because you pay a flat fee. So figure those out. And also other people ask questions about this credit card fee. That is can go in 1 of 2 places, and it gets a little difficult. You can either put your credit card fees as a cost of goods because it's per unit, and you'll have to figure out, okay, somewhere you found out that 50% of the people use a credit card to pay for this type of service. And so you could add, a fee on to 50% of your revenue opposed to every bit. Or you could just take an average of what you think your total fees for the month would be and just put credit card expense in the income under expenses. Either way, but don't forget to account for credit card fees. Okay, they can add up quite a bit. All right, and it cuts into your sales. Now, there is a thing that I also want you guys to know. You cannot give a disadvantage for someone that is using a credit card. You can't say, if you don't use a credit card, I will charge you less. Okay? But what you can do is give a cash discount. Okay? So you can say it the way of, if you're paying with cash, I can give you a discount, but you can't penalize someone for using a credit card. Okay? So if you want to entice them to use cash, that might be the way to do it. Okay, any questions on those sections? Okay, guys, we're at the end of the line here. So 3 things that I want to tell you that I've implemented are 3 different workshops. One workshop for financials is going to be Wednesday from 10:30 to 12:20 in the lab, CE104. Another one is going to be Wednesday evening in Medford, and we're hoping it's going to be from 3 to 6, but we're still waiting on that reservation. And another one is going to be at noon in Medford at the HEC on Saturday. So I think by all 3 of my classes, I've covered all areas. If they're out of town, they can drive in on Saturday. If you're working in the evening, you can come Saturday, or you can do it during the day on Wednesday. So I've got an evening, a Saturday, and a during the day. And so the only one that's confirmed at this point is the Wednesday 10:30 to 12:20. This Wednesday in the lab, and then I'm going to get one scheduled for Wednesday night in Medford. So if you need more help, you can come to all 3 or just one. And then again at the HEC on Saturday at noon. I will confirm those second 2. We're looking and making sure labs are available. For those of you online, if you're too far away to drive, I will set up either Skype or Google Plus with you. But if you can come in, it's a lot more beneficial to sit one-on-one than it is to actually try to discuss this over Skype or something, but we'll make it work anyway. Okay? All right, we're down to the last 2 things here. We're down to the company description, which normally is written first, but I've had it written last because think about it. You now know everything. You can sit down and write this company description very easily because you've already studied everything. What's generally done is the company description is written first, and you're still trying to figure out what you're going to do and have to go back and change it. Now, the only thing in the company description that we haven't talked about is, you've talked about, many of you have a name. Some are still calling it something that's not truly a name, my business. So you need a name for your business. Okay, and you also need to know what the what's the legal status of your business. Are you going to be a sole proprietor, a limited liability corporation, an S corporation, or a corporation, or a nonprofit? Okay, I gave you a sheet at the beginning. It's also on Moodle of what the benefits, the pros and cons of each of those are. Is anybody in here doing a nonprofit? Okay, I know some of my other classes. You're thinking about it? Okay. Okay, so you'll have to go the nonprofit route. Anybody doing a corporation? Okay, so what I recommend, it's fairly new, is an LLC. Not real new, but when I was around doing businesses, you had either sole proprietor or an S corporation, which wasn't quite full corporated, but you could benefit and didn't cost as much to do, or a corporation. And a sole proprietor meant it was really inexpensive. You could set it up. You didn't need a board of directors. You didn't need anything. But the problem with it was you were one and the same as the business. So if the business got sued, so did you. It meant you could lose your house, your home, and everything. You were one and the same. Okay? Your monies were one and the same. So any money that went out, you were double taxed on it. The company made the money. You took it out. You made the money. And so you could have double taxation. So what came up, I think probably 10 years ago, I may be wrong, was what we call an LLC, a limited liability corporation. That's the best of both worlds. It's not as expensive as a corporation, but provides you some protection that a sole proprietorship didn't. You cannot be sued personally, only sued for the value of the business, and there's no double taxation, okay? And it's still fairly inexpensive to open. So I have a feeling that's the route most of you should take. They have LLC partnerships as well. Anybody doing a partnership? Okay. Partnerships can get a little tricky sometimes. Some of you online I know are doing a partnership. I would never do a 50-50 partnership. Sway that even if it's 51%, 49%, because sometime you're going to get headlocked and there's not going to be a way to get around it. There needs to be someone that has a little more influence or you're really going to get in a hard time. I also recommend doing a partnership with a good friend is not always a great idea. Okay, it's kind of like selling your good friend your old junker car. Okay, you just wish you hadn't ever had the car. Okay, so be careful about those things. But also understand that you need clear, defined duties of each. Not, we're both going to do this, we're both going to do this, we're both going to do, that's not going to work. Okay? You take care of HR, you take care of the books, I'll take care of ordering, I'll take care of inventory, I'll take care of the cooking. Whatever it is, clear, defined duties if you are going into a partnership, and make sure that there's a 49-51 split at least. Okay? Because somebody needs to break those ties. So you'll have that to write your company description. Any brand names, model names, any type of naming company things will go in that section. You'll write a company objective or / mission statement. Mission statements are not easy to write, and they should be very short and identify the business. It shouldn't be a mission statement that I could tag on to a whole bunch of things because it's so generic, it could apply to anything. So writing mission statements, I used to spend a lot of time in this class writing mission statements, and I'm not so hooked on them anymore. Just write what the objective of your business is. You know, you're going to provide a quality product to X area and whatever you're going to do, but look here and get some ideas on an objective, and you can write a mission statement if you like. Legal issues that you need to make sure that you're aware of, any patents, any copyrights or anything like that, you need to be aware of those things as well. Products and service, you know, you're going to explain what your product and services are, who your lead management is, the business location. Now, a lot of this is going to be repeated, but realize this is in a very narrative, summarized form. We're talking maybe 3 or 4 pages for this stuff, and you're going to go through these headings. So you're going to say where the business is located. The other sections like operation is going to be more specific to where things are located. Development stage, milestones achieved to date, your financial status. And again, that's really quick. You know, our forecast is to make X number of dollars by year 3. We're seeking a loan for X number of dollars, or we're using personal financing to start the business. Okay, so very brief on the company description. It's got a couple of them here. In fact, they're 2 pages long. Well, one's a page and a half. So very short. In fact, I'd probably go with more like 2 pages on that. So it's something very short. And then the last thing that you'll be writing is the executive summary. And the executive summary cannot be written until the end. Okay? And it is extremely crucial. You remember I've said several times that sometimes the only thing an investor will read is the executive summary and the financials. And between those two, they should have a very good idea of what the business is all about. And if it piques their interest enough, then they'll go further to study more and invest in your business. There's 2 ways you can write the executive summary. One is called a synopsis summary, and one is called the narrative summary. The synopsis summary is kind of like telling a story about the business. Now, if you're a good storyteller, this works great. Okay? If you're not, don't pretend to be and do the narrative form where it's just stating what the topic areas are. You're just stating the factual information. But if you're a good storyteller, the synopsis can be very effective, which is kind of back to the point that I was talking about. When you present, if you would like to tell a little feedback about how you started the business or how it derived, like Addie was talking about, her grandfather used to make these, or your family's in the business of the trampoline, wherever these things came from, you could talk about it at the beginning of your presentation, which kind of leads people into this is more than just a project, there's some passion behind this. And so those are good. If you can weave that into your synopsis and you're a good storyteller, then that's great. If not, go with the narrative.
Is there any examples of a synopsis?
There's an example of a synopsis and a narrative in here.
Okay.
There's one of each.
Online, any of those plans?
In the book, I don't know how many of them did a
I looked
synopsis.
at 2 of them.
Yeah, they may be narrative ones. They don't usually state which ones they are, but there's one of each in the book here. So it tells you what areas you need to cover. If it's a synopsis, it talks about the company mission, your product, your marketing strategy, your competition, your target market, management, operations, finances, sought. And the same pretty much for the narrative, the concept, the background, the company, the market, the competition. So look at these and see which one. I think I may have. I just told you completely wrong. I started looking at that. The synopsis is the narrative one. The narrative is the storytelling one. It's going, something doesn't sound right there. Okay, so look in here. The synopsis is the straightforward. The narrative is the storytelling one. Yeah, and you'll see it in here when you take a look.
So that makes no sense.
Yeah. I was going, wait a minute. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other things that you need to know, on Moodle, under writing tips, I believe it is, there's a video there that's called page numbers, dot leaders, page breaks. You'll need to watch that video. The dot leaders are for your table of contents, which you need. Table of contents must include page numbers. It's not just headings and then dots that go over. They need to include the page numbers. Okay? The section breaks, which I call page breaks in there too, are different. There's a section break. You need to know how to do those because some of your financial sheets need to go landscape and the rest of the paper needs to be portrait. So you'll need to do these section breaks so that you can change the orientation in the section break back to get the orientation back. It's not an easy thing. You got to try it a couple times and you'll finally get it, or you'll look and see, okay, that happened when I clicked that. Okay, let me go back and do it again. But you're going to have to figure out how to do section breaks so part's landscape and part of it's portrait. Yes?
So I was trying to separate the what do you call them? The reports from everything. I couldn't figure out how to do that.
Okay, well you just highlight the report. Okay.
Just highlight everything.
Yeah, just highlight one report at a time and bring it over and copy it and paste special. It may want to paste special. Again, play with it because it depends on what versions of what you're using.
Okay.
But it should come over just fine. But you're right, I only want the reports. At a minimum, I want 3 reports, but 2 versions.
Yeah.
Right? I want the cash flow monthly, the cash flow yearly, the balance sheet monthly, the balance sheet yearly, and the income statement monthly and income statement yearly. And you can just put the monthly on top of the yearly for each of those. Okay? Those will go in your appendix. Before that appendix, you should have your assumptions. Okay? So, at a minimum, your appendices should be A, financial assumptions. So appendix A, financial assumptions. And then you can use just a blank sheet of paper and put appendix B, financial statements, and pile them all up behind it. Okay, you don't have to call each one of them. It's all part of the appendix. Now, of course, if you have prior appendix, then they won't obviously be A and B if you have pictures or all those things. But at a minimum, those are the 2 appendices that you're going to need. And then don't forget your reference list. And I think some of you still are not formatting that correctly. Okay, it's reference list in the same font that the rest of the paper's in, single space between each, indent after the first line, and then double space from one reference to the next, and in alphabetical order. Okay? We're getting really, really close, and so what we're going to do is now, you'll write those sections this weekend. Hopefully Wednesday, I will give you your ops and technology sections back, and we'll go over those a little bit more if you have any questions. And then we're set on doing financials and you just fixing your paper up and getting ready. I want you to have enough time that you put the paper aside, it's done, complete, and you work on your PowerPoint. Okay? And that's a really good feeling when you can not be trying to do them both at the same time. The paper is going to be due way before the PowerPoint. Okay? And so you'll have a weekend or until that finals week when you've scheduled to do it to just work on your PowerPoint. So everybody turns their paper in at the same time regardless when you're presenting. And then you get that time to work on your PowerPoint. Okay? How you guys feeling? Yeah.
Well, I have a question. Are you going to post the schedule that we all, sign on Google? So
I can have it scanned and put in.
Yeah, because
You've already got it?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay, anybody else? How are you guys feeling?
A little bit.
Better? Getting close.
So much.
Too much to do?
Well, just not only in this class, other classes too.
The only class I'm worried about is this one. What are you worried about?
I was calculating my editing times. It shows you your editing times for each, word or whatever you do. I've like 50 hours just in, one part of my paper.
Why would you do that to yourself? Don't do that. Just keep writing. Okay? All right, so hopefully you guys are feeling comfortable or know where you are and what you need to still do. Again, take advantage of many of those financial workshops as you can. If you can come to all three, that's great. If I don't see it in any of them, which you guys don't have a big excuse not to be at any of them, then it's going to be a little difficult for me to take time away from somebody who's living in Washington or Idaho to not spend time with them instead. So, okay. All right. You guys okay? Any last minute stuff? We're good? Go work. You got lots to do.